entrepreneur, welcome to your Entrepreneur Resources show. I'm super excited that you're here with me today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Venice, your host, and here at your Entrepreneur Resources, we discover the no-fluff action steps to help you avoid all the overwhelm and all the BS out there, connecting you with the right mentors, resources, and tools, helping you every step of the way on your entrepreneurial journey. We go live here twice a week, interviewing different entrepreneurs and experts on all areas of business. So make sure to join our Facebook group and look out for the events inside your Entrepreneur Resources page. You can find all the links in the description box. Today, I have a very special guest with me. It is Karmen. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, thank you so much. I love your energy, Venice. I just have to pump myself up a bit. I'm still a little tired. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, so
I
Karmen,
just want
to, let me just do a quick intro about Karmen because she's my bestie in the entrepreneurial world. I love her energy, love her. So I'm excited to have you here. So Karmen is a Pinterest strategist specializing in tailored strategies, design, and analytics for brands, e-commerce stores, and bloggers. In this interview with Karmen, we'll be talking about how to use Pinterest for your business model, relevant KPIs to get maximum return, and how to get started on Pinterest as a beginner. I'm really excited about this because I think it's such an underrated platform that people don't really use. But before we get started, Karmen, do you want to tell us more about your business and your journey?
Yeah, of course. So, hey everyone. Like I said, my name is Karmen, and yes, like you just mentioned, I'm doing precise strategies for different business models. And basically, how I figured this out, I'm coming from the design world. I've been designing hotels for the past 4 years, and I've also been a fashion stylist for the past 8+ years. And I just wanted to, share more about my ideas, and that's how I started a blog back then. I was like, okay, I need to reach people. How do I reach people? And I've learned about Pinterest in a podcast, in a professional way, not just an inspirational way. And I just went down the rabbit hole. I started learning about it. And at some point last year, I was like, okay, a friend of mine suggested that I could actually make a business out of it. And with it, I will be able to leave my corporate job. So she put me towards a course, which I did. And that's what they say, the rest is history, because I kicked off my business in September and I was able to leave my corporate. I resigned in February. So since March, I'm only doing this and, just my design work on the side as well. And yeah, basically what I do is I'm helping other entrepreneurs, business owners, just to figure out how they can leverage Pinterest the best way possible and how they can make sure that they have, the best return they are looking for their business model.
I think that's so powerful. I love your message. I love your story. Why do you think Pinterest is the platform that you decided to focus on, like among all the other social media platforms?
Yeah, so it's very funny because this was a question that came up on Clubhouse yesterday when I was speaking. And the reason why I wanted to work with Pinterest is because at the beginning I felt like I don't want to show my face. I don't want to, take so many pictures, or just, I didn't feel comfortable doing that. But I was like, I'm a professional and I have something to say. I understand design, I understand fashion, and I feel like this is something that people could be interested in, and I want to show, how I work. So I thought Pinterest is a great platform because you are able to show what you're doing, and you can remain professional, and you don't have to be, dancing in front of the camera doing. I don't have any problem with that. And I'm sure, I'm also recording videos and things like that, but that's not just something, that's not me. I am not comfortable doing that. I would rather showcase, an image that I created, a selection, an interior space, an article, things like that. So that's why I gravitated towards that. So I think for people who are shy in front of the camera, it's a good start. Also, it really depends on what you're trying to reach, because let's say you're service-based, then for example, Instagram could be an awesome tool as well, because you have to be in front of the camera more often. But if you're sharing articles, or you're doing, within the food niche or lifestyle, things like that, or design, it's good because you can showcase your work without actually having to be in the picture. But it just depends on how you're selling things. For me, it was a good way to go, and now I'm more comfortable in front of the camera.
I love that you talked about articles and blog posts and, like for people that are not very comfortable at being in front of the camera, they can use Pinterest. So why is Pinterest such a good tool for articles and blogs? Like I know you've talked about it a lot with me and I love like the way that you put it. So please tell us, why should we think about using Pinterest if we're not already using it?
Yeah, so basically for bloggers, what you can do is that if you go into it, you most likely know that you are going to be able to monetize your blog and make money with it, with your articles. And there are various platforms that you can use to make money. And one of them is Google, and another one could be Pinterest, which is very, very good. It can help you drive traffic and just help you create backlinks and basically strengthen your offsite SEO, which means that, every single image or video that you post out, that is going to be clickable, and you can, add it up or pair it up with the link to your article or your landing page, whichever you have. And with that, you are going to be able to gain traffic through Pinterest as you're being consistent, you keep posting, and you're climbing up the algorithm. And with that way, you're driving free traffic to your website.
I also love that with Pinterest, it has the button where you can just link it and then it will just go straight to your article, right? It encourages you to kind of go to the article instead of Instagram. There's only one link, right?
Exactly,
I love that.
That's what I'm saying. Like every single post you create on Pinterest is about to have a backlink or a landing page, so to speak. So you're going to be able to click out, and these are called rich pins. Oh, sorry, I'm just having a call. I'll just block it. Sorry. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, of course, right now. Anyway, so you can add a link to it, and that way you are going to be able to drive people. One thing is that I like to notice that Pinterest announced story pins last year. So if you have a story pin, you cannot link out of them yet. It's likely that it will happen soon because they are planning on having them promoted, and for that, most likely they will need to have an option, to link them out. But that's a topic for a different day. And yeah, so that's a very powerful thing to do, because if you're having a blog, you want to make money through ads or affiliates, and you can use Pinterest for those things.
Yeah, definitely. I love that you brought up story pins because I didn't know about them until you told me earlier a few months ago, I think. Can you tell us more about what story pins are?
Okay, so if you're a blogger, you don't want to leverage on story pins. Let's just get this out of the way, because they are not clickable, and it can help you gain organic traffic, but you won't be able to differentiate if it's coming from Google or Pinterest. So it's really, really hard. If you are a design driven page, then it can help you a lot. Okay, so if you post story pins, it can help you, and you will see an increase within your organic reach. Because I saw it with one of my clients that we started out about 2,000 page views a month, and now we are over 7,000 due to this change. And obviously, she's getting more and more clicks. But the thing is that most of the page views are coming this way, because that's the only thing that we have changed since we started working together. Nothing else. And story pins, if you post it, even in the end of it, you have the chance to just click on it, and it takes you back to the homepage of your Pinterest page, and then you're right at the link to your website. So you can click out, and that can also help you go and drive people to your homepage as well. It's a designated landing page or for an article, but that can help as well. But story pins, basically, if you are service-based, you can start sharing videos about what you do, and they rank highest. Pinterest is always pushing what is their newest feature the most. So story pins, even if you are starting out and you are seeing very little impressions and little to no clicks on your images and videos, mostly images, those get better clicks. But if you start posting story pins, that will help you climb the algorithm faster. So if you're service-based, that can be very powerful, because you are there, people are browsing there, they will be able to see you more often, you will be more visible, and you can, say verbally what you're doing and showcase your services. For you, it's different because you don't necessarily need the ad money or, the affiliate. That could happen as well. But at the same time, you're trying to sell a service. So it can be very powerful for that.
Definitely. So are Pinterest story pins, are they kind of similar to Instagram stories, or how does it look?
In a way, I would say it's the smarter sister of Instagram stories. That's how I usually like to call them. And the reason for that is you can add up to 20 slides in one story pin, and you can add images and videos. You can mix them up, and one video can be up to a minute long. And this is something that you should think about, because you can add, you know, a 20-minute long video there explaining something. You just need to cut them up into 1-minute pieces. And you know, the other thing that is great about it, that it doesn't expire after 24 hours. It's there to generate traffic for you. And also you are able to save it to designated boards, which means you can mix it up with your images, videos, whatever you've been posting previously, and just create, you know, a more interesting feed, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I love that tip. I think it's such a good idea. I never thought about it doing it this way, mixing story pins and image pins in a board, but that definitely adds some like special like touch to it. So when people, you know, follow a board, they'll be able to see the images as well as the story pins, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's super cool.
And you have a description page where you can add the link, and it's not clickable, but you can copy paste it, so it can help. But I also just want to emphasize the fact that not every business model needs story pins, and it's not useful for everyone. I'm not really doing story pins because I'm not really selling my services on Pinterest. I use Pinterest for my blog. And for example, I use mainly IG for my Pinterest services, which is interesting, but that's where I'm connecting more. Pinterest I'm using for my design work.
I love that, because that's so smart. It should be how we run our business, right? We shouldn't be focusing on a social media platform just because someone's like, oh, it's working for me. It might not work for you. So I love that, you know, you have tried it, you know which platform works for what part of your business. Yeah, I think that's really awesome. Okay, so besides what other kind of pins or what kind of strategy can people kind of focus on when they're just starting out with Pinterest? What should they be working towards?
Yeah, so when you're starting out, obviously you need to set up a business profile first. That's how you are going to be able to see the analytics and everything that will go into your account. Set up your first boards, and when you start out, most of the businesses, they already know who their competitors are. So when you know them, check if they are on Pinterest. If they are on Pinterest, just have a look at their portfolio or profile, so to speak, and just see, you know, how their cover looks like, how their profile image looks like, how their, you know, title looks like, you know, how they describe their page, you know, like what is this about? What's the call to action there? What is claimed there? Is, you know, is their website, IG, Etsy, Shopify, YouTube, whatever they have, is it claimed there? Because if you have all of these things, you are able to add them to your front page. So that's that. And afterwards, you start setting up your boards, which has to be a mix of evergreen content and seasonal content, and also base it on, you know, what your competitors do. Obviously, we're not copying them, but we're trying to do something that's better, and what we see that's been already working for them, and use the best keywords. Try to look for the best keywords that are working for your niche. You can use it many ways. I actually have an article on my website about it, because it would be a really long conversation to explain all the keyword research. But that's very, very important. And once you've done that, you start thinking about, you know, how you're creating pins and how your content is. And when you start out, you most likely don't have too many images. So try to stretch it, you know, try to post at least 3 times a day at the beginning. And just think about it, the fact that, you know, you have one image, but you can tweak it a little bit. You can add the border around it. You can add text overlay. It really depends, you know, because if you're a blog, you have to have text overlay for people to be visible. But again, it comes down to the fact, like, what do we want to approach with it? Is it a blog? Is it a brand? Because it's different how you're approaching Pinterest for blogs or for brands. So for example, for my blog, the most important thing is to click out from the website. But if I'm working with interior design companies, clicks are one thing, but another thing I need to look at is how I get them visible on the platform, how I'm getting more impressions, how I'm getting more saves, engagement, you know, how people are interacting, because they can be found and approached through Pinterest, and they can book deals, interior design deals, for example, through Pinterest, which happened to my clients before. Not once. So I think it's just very important to know what your business model is, and, you know, find the right KPIs for that. And also to add e-commerce to the mix, because that's a new thing with Pinterest, and it's very powerful there. You can leverage story pins, images, and videos there. And basically for e-commerce, you can start circulating people around on Pinterest. So you don't necessarily have to rely on people leaving the platform, because you can integrate your shop on Pinterest, you can use story pins to make things, more exciting. And because your shop is there, they don't even need to click out. They just need to go around and see your catalog, and you can start selling even on the platform. So this is something to think of. Keywords, competition, analyze your audience, analyze what you're looking for. Always think of the intention, what your potential buyer or reader needs, what they would click on, what they would look at, and try to create pins with that in mind.
Wow, you just gave so many tips. I love that. I love that you covered all these different industries and different types of businesses. So I think it's very important because just like what you said, the call to action for Pinterest is there's so many options. You can click out and just check out an article yourself. You can follow, you can, do all these different things. And it's very important to know what you want your audience to do to kind of encourage them through your pins as well, right? Like through your designs to take that action that you want them to take. Speaking of Pinterest designs, do you have any tips for us regarding, like how to make our Pinterest pins stand out?
Yeah, okay. So if you are doing design or anything, that's already visually pleasing, then you are, winning already, because that's going to be something unique. That's going to be something interesting. Always put your logo on the bottom. That's one thing, just a small one, or just your website. But aside from that, always think of the measurements, how Pinterest, what the best sizes are for Pinterest. So it can be 1,000 by 1,500 pixels, 1,200 by 1,800, or 1,000 by 2,100. So there are different ones. And if you just Google it, you'll find these numbers. You don't have to write them down right now. But also think about putting some text overlay there if it's possible. If you're using this image, you want to use it more than once. So if you feel like, okay, I don't want to put text overlay because, I'm a photographer, I want to show this image, first just leave it out, put it out like that. But then, create a version where you say, keywords like, I don't know, best hiking spots in the Alps, things like that. So people who are searching for these keywords, they will see your image. And even if you're not speaking about it, at least you gain more engagement, gain more saves. It always depends still how you're trying to approach the platform, what you need, because they, you might be selling prints, and if they are looking for that, they might be inspired. Like, oh, okay, it's not talking about, that I want to travel there and maybe this and that, but the image is beautiful, so I may buy it from that person. So try to add text over it, try to make it easy to read. So there are these beautiful fonts that looks really cute and artsy. If you cannot read it, especially if you cannot read it from your phone, that's not helping you. It has to be easy to read. And I fell into this at the beginning so often that I tried to overcomplicate my pins. And at some point you realize that the simpler, the better. And it just sounds so odd in a way because you want to make it look pretty, but most people are looking for content on their phones. So it's always tiny. And if the image is tiny and the font is very artsy and, it's just like, curvy and things like that, then it's not going to be easy to read. And especially if you're using these fonts on your keywords, people won't be, looking at it, because what the main part of it is that, people have a short attention span. They are also scrolling fast. So you need to grab their attention. So let's say hiking spots, it has to be with a font that's easy to read, because that will grab attention. So always try to keep that in mind. Use high quality images. And again, it depends on what your business model is, and just look at your competition, how they are using images, how they are doing the layout, and try to just make it your own. Don't copy it. You can get reported as spam for copying. Okay, try to do your own version. You can buy templates. Even Canva, for example, they have templates for you to use, and you can start tailoring it very easy. So things like that. But the most important thing is to make it easy to read, grab attention, and have intention with the user. Like what is their intention? What do you want to get from them? Do you want them to click, to read, to just check it out, to save? What do you need with that image? What you want to do with that? That's the most important part. And honestly, I feel like I'm just getting to a point where I'm starting to really understand this part on how to leverage intention best, because it takes time to understand, especially when you're doing different niches.
Yeah, oh my gosh, you just dropped so many bombs there. I'm like, yes, I completely love all these tips that you just shared. I have a question. This is
Okay,
one that I have for my Pinterest strategy. So I'm just going to put it out there and ask you, and hopefully
do
someone in
it.
the audience has the same question.
Shoot.
Um, I know that Pinterest wants fresh content
Yeah,
constantly. They want fresh pins, fresh content.
yeah.
So, for example, if I have like 15 designs on Canva that the templates are there, and I just change up the images, I change up the text to fit the different article I have. Does that work?
Yeah. So yes, it does. So what you can do is that, for example, you can zoom in on the image and show different parts, because people like zoomed in images. So you just zoom in, you move it around. Also, you move it around, you change the text colors, you maybe change the background color, you add the border, and this way Pinterest won't be able to say that it's the same pin. So that's actually a tip that I just learned recently, because I was constantly going for newer and newer images, because I just saw many information, circling around, and I saw this, and I started doing this the past week, and it's really making a change. So just try to leverage and stretch your content as much as you can. And also, if you've been in the game and you've been doing this for a few months, and you see that some pins are doing better than the other, you can start looking at your analytics and see like your top 10 pins, for example, like what did I do there? How did the design look like? And also, if you only created one design, again, add the border, change the color, zoom in on the image, make it look like it's a bit different, but yet the same. So with that in mind, you can create, from 15, you can create 150 images in a very short
Wow,
period
that's
of
awesome.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, and would you suggest that this is another question that I have for my Pinterest strategy.
That's
Would you
okay.
suggest for the text of the Pinterest pin to be like the title of the article, or would you suggest, like a quote or like a question? Like what kind of text should we put on the Pinterest pins?
So it depends, quote, I think if you are doing a quote, that could be a separate thing, they are doing kind of well, but the quotes are good for saving, they won't click out because they saw a quote, that's something I save for my interest, like, oh, that's cute, maybe I'll share it somewhere, but I'm not going to go to your website and go around, because it's just like, that's what I would
That's so
think.
true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So always, numbers do well. And I'm just reading more and more articles, for example, from Neil Patel on how to write powerful headlines. And he's saying, first of all, try, test all the time, because you'll have so many ideas, but user intent changes. Think about it. So sometimes give a question, sometimes give numbers. Like numbers do the best. And for a long time, I was really scared of using numbers, to be honest. At the beginning, I was like, this cannot be, that powerful. But turns out it is, and people want to know how many options they got. So, or like how much money you can make with something, or how much money you can save, or just like, I have my best article is 7 mistakes you can make in a small bedroom. And people are just like, oh my goodness, what's that 7th thing that I might be doing to my space, and how am I supposed to avoid it? So things like that. And also try to, go and get emotional, like get moved towards their emotions. So they feel like you're either missing out something, or there's something they can change, something that will improve their life in some ways. So again, try to go and make a positive change in someone's life, with reading this article, or just, it's not nice to say, but create FOMO. So, if they're not looking at it, they're missing out. So that's a very powerful thing to do. And also what you can do is think about, justifying who this content is going for. So if it's for a single mom, if it's for a young designer, if it's for someone who's unemployed, if it's someone who's interested in cars, and try to incorporate it within the title. So that way, you're already justifying your audience, and you have a higher chance to, get clicks and engagement.
Yes, I love this so much. Oh my gosh. And I know that you talked about seasonal content earlier on, and
Yeah.
I do want to ask you, like, how would you leverage seasonal content for entrepreneurs, like service providers mainly? Like, how would you, because it's evergreen most of the time. So how would you kind of use seasonal content for your Pinterest strategy?
Well, let's say you can say that you're coaching something, and spring is coming, you can say, with the new season, you are going to able to sweep out your old habits and get new ones, and XYZ is the thing that I could teach you. And then you're like, okay, it's already referring to that. And you're trying to add it, or, like, have you done your spring cleaning in your mind yet? Things like that. So just try to think of, keywords and how you can make it a bit more fun and playful.
Yeah.
And how your evergreen content can relate to seasonality, because it's possible, but obviously not everything can be made seasonal. But I think you can, just try a few ideas and think about, like, okay, how can this, coaching relate to that? Like, what's my topic? How does it serve people? What would be the intention behind it? And I know everyone's saying that, but that's what it comes down to at the end. And that's what people need to really focus on.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's such a good idea. I'm definitely going to try and use that. So thank you.
Wow.
I do have to start wrapping up, unfortunately, but
oh my goodness,
thank you
already?
so much. Yeah, I know. Time flies. I know you have a free gift for us. Do you mind just telling us a little bit more about it?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear it. It was just the block for a second.
Oh, yeah, no worries. You have a free gift for us. Do you want to share a little bit more about what it is?
Yes, of course I do. Yeah, so if you go to my website, I have a hire me page. Don't worry, you don't have to hire me for this gift. I just put it there. It's basically a 2021 guide on how to use Pinterest with the new features. It's a PDF that you can download. It's right on the top. And if you want to see, more of how I work, you can read the article, and you will be able to download it at the bottom as well. So that's something that I think you guys could, find useful.
Yay, perfect. And where can people connect with you and find out more about what you do?
Yeah, so my website is karmenroja.com, and my Karmen is with a K. It's not with a C. Most people would confuse it, but it's okay. And another thing is, you can check out my Pinterest, which is also Karmen Rózsa, or you can connect with me on IG if you just want to send me a direct message. It's Karmen Rózsa @ underscore, actually, underscore.
And you can also find Karmen. You can find Karmen on Clubhouse.
Where I'm oh my goodness, yeah, you can find me on Clubhouse as Karmen Rózsa as well.
Perfect. No, thank you so much for making this, being on the show. Honestly, like, you've given so many tips and actionable steps and strategies. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs are like, yes, I'm gonna have to add Pinterest to my strategy. In case anyone needs a summary of the interview, make sure to check out our show notes, which I'll link in the description box. We have our live interviews with experts here twice a week, so make sure to stay tuned and join our community on Facebook. Again, you can find all the links in the description box. Thank you again so much for being here, and thank you everyone for tuning in. I'll chat with you very soon.